You know what Overwatch is, and so do I, or that's what I'm assuming because you've clicked on this video. You've probably played the game, or even watched it. You've probably seen some XQC clips like... Or maybe Carpe making some insane plays Overwatch League Season 1 like... They need to get this pick, and he gets them! But I'm not here to talk about the big leagues. And I'm not here to talk about Xbox or PlayStation either. Today, we're not going to talk about the people who sit in the back of the bus. Instead, we're going to talk about the people who sit in front. And what I'm referring to is the small community known as Nintendo Overwatch or Nintendo Switch Overwatch. I have been in this small community for over a year now. I've met some interesting people, played in this scene competitively, and made some friends who I still talk to today even though I don't play on this console anymore. And because yesterday crossplay has just been enabled on Overwatch, the ability to play Overwatch on all platforms and regions with friends or strangers, I finally decided it's time to make a documentary about this community. I joined this community around May 2020, and I've seen its ups and its downs. But today I present you the Nintendo Overwatch documentary, No Rise, All Fall. First, let's talk about the limitations of the Overwatch port on Switch, and by that I mean the technical limitations. First of all, the console can run a maximum of 30 FPS, which is not too shabby, but when you compare that to every other platform, it's left in the dust. It runs a 900p resolution when it's docked and a 720p resolution when it's in handheld mode. By itself, these numbers seem completely reasonable in order to make Overwatch on Switch run smoothly. However, when comparing it to every other platform, there are major disparities and disadvantages that you could probably predict. For example, there are many mechanics that you can react to, like blocking a shatter, or even simple mechanics like shooting a far out of the sky. We'll talk about that one later. Also, Overwatch for Nintendo Switch was created in partnership with a developer named Iron Galaxy. These are the same people who create Nintendo Switch versions for Diablo 3 and Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. And well, you know, it's a Switch port, so there has to be a wacky mechanic, and that is gyro controls. It's the ability to move or aim your cursor with aiming your controller. And with the combination of gyro aim assist, you see some pretty weird gameplay on the Switch, I could say. Overwatch was released May 24th, 2016, but it actually didn't come to the Switch until October 15th, 2019. And the reason for the 3-year late release is actually explained by Jeff Kaplan himself.
One of the reasons that we're a little late to the game and bringing the game to the Switch is because we initially had that reluctance of like, everything's not going to look exactly the same as it does on the PC. And I think once you get over the hurdle, that's okay because there's so many advantages to this other platform. It's not all about visual fidelity.
And Jeff Kaplan is right. Overwatch has some fun stuff to offer. But, alright, look, I know I've been talking about some negative stuff about the game on this platform, but trust me, this next section is going to be the last time I talk negatively about this platform. And well, it's going to be the most hard-hitting, and that is Overwatch by nature is a competitive game. The core aspect of the game is literally 6 players versus 6 players, a team versus team game. And well, you can market the game on the platform as a fun time, but no matter what, people gravitate, and people will gravitate towards the competitive scene of the game, and well, it doesn't look too good. Before we talk about competitive teams in Overwatch Switch, let's talk about comp or ranked play. The technical limitations I mentioned earlier have a huge effect in the comp scene, and the fact that Switch Overwatch is marketed towards a casual audience that just makes comp play, well, lackluster. Or should I say a double-edged sword? Well, instead of playing what's meta, people play what they're comfortable with. And, well, it works. It doesn't matter if they have a Sombra and your teammate is playing ball, your teammate will stay on ball. Right, Arcanine? But let's get into the main reason why comp is so dreadful, and that is because of Pharmacy. The combination of a Pharah and Mercy pocketing that Pharah in the sky. Across all elos, this is a problem that everyone deals with, and it seems like no matter what SR you are, people just can't hit the Pharah. Or the Mercy rubber banding across the screen at 30 FPS, you know what I mean. And it doesn't help either that Blizzard only focuses balancing heroes around their PC scene or OWL. Usually on all platforms, dealing with the Pharmacy is easy. Just pick a hit skin like Ashe and boom, problem solved. Just hit the Pharah and Mercy out of the sky. Except it's even harder on 30 FPS. And when your team doesn't communicate with you because they refuse to join the match chat, more than usual actually, and well, don't even get me started on Joy-Con drift. But here is where we transition problems we see in comp to problems that we see in the competitive scene on Overwatch. Well, Switch Overwatch, I should say. So, I'm a part of two decently sized servers for this community. One server is called The League, which is a server where pre-made teams can pit their best players against each other for free and no payout, no money involved. This style of league is most popular in the Switch community because it's where a group of friends can play and test their skills against other groups. The other big server I am a part of is the Nintendo Overwatch League, most famously known as the NOL. I'm a shoutcaster and commentator for both of these servers, so I've seen its advantages and disadvantages. The main problem with the pre-made team league server, The League, is that there's not enough players for there to be a functioning league. Now hold on, if you're familiar with the server, you know very well that it's still up and running and that there are plenty of games still being played. What I actually mean is that there's naturally going to be one good team that rises to the top and that no one else can compete with. When top 500 leaderboards are made of 100 genuine players and 400 smurfs, you know there's something wrong. And that translates badly onto pre-made teams because there are only so few top players in the community. They will naturally gravitate towards the best teams, and well, when real recognizes real, top players will all combine into one team. That means everyone else who isn't on that one team has to fight for scraps while the top team sits at the top. For those of you guys who know what team I'm probably referring to, well, it's the Cream team, and by no means am I dissing them or anything, it's just natural for something like that to happen. The main problem for the NOL is that in a draft league where not all managers have a lot of experience, the players are left to rely on these managers for their competitive or fun experience. This decreases the incentive for players to play because you're on a team of strangers whom you don't know if you're going to get along with them, and you don't even know if they can carry their own weight. Now, I know both of these servers have their own problems, which, let me clarify, this isn't to bash or to diss on any of those servers. It's just highlighting a problem that the entire Switch community has as a whole. But what both of these servers face is just a genuine problem that the Switch community has to deal with, and that is the very specific meta that the Switch seems to have, and that is stall and pharmacy. Similar to pharmacy, no matter the skill level, as I said before, stall is still prevalent in all elos. Now, while stall is prevalent on other platforms as well, it isn't nearly as devastating as it is on Switch. Good! As the Buck Knucklers, they only need to get a few more picks. They need to stop the stall. Here comes the Rocket Barrage, gonna find absolutely no one. However, they got the picks that they needed. As long as they stop the stall, just clean it up, call your targets. The tick is right there. It's in your possession. You got it right now. Don't let anyone die. Do not let it fall in vain. And well, when the last ditch stall lasts for 3 minutes, it also loses its touch as a spectator sport as well. And don't get it wrong, seeing a palm sweating last team fight is sometimes cool, but seeing it all the time, every single game for 5 minutes, not so much. But nonetheless, you guys heard me talk enough. There's actually some people I interviewed. Now, for these interviews, I actually wanted to get some answers to formulate a hypothesis on the state of the Switch community, as well as what others think as well. And after that, we could probably talk about how crossplay will affect this community as well. The first one I interviewed is actually a friend of mine named Blue Otter. And well, Blue actually played on other consoles as well, and so he has experience on many platforms such as Switch or PS4 and Xbox, and actually has played PC recently. So since he's played on all platforms, I've actually valued his opinion. And not only that, he played on competitive teams as well. So let's get into it. All right, yeah. So first of all, in general, give me an estimate on how long you've been playing Overwatch.
Ooh, okay. So the very first time I started was season 2 on PlayStation,
Mhm.
and then from season 3 up until season now to be honest, I've played on Xbox. Season 23, I think I started on Switch.
Ooh, okay. So since season 23, to follow up on that, do you ever regret spending your time on this console, aka the Switch?
Nah. There are times I sit there and I regret playing the game because it's Overwatch, and those who play Overwatch know, but I don't regret being on the console at all.
All right, that sounds good. And since you said you came from PlayStation, and that you have experience on the Switch as well, which community do you prefer more, and why?
My experience on PlayStation was little. I moved to Xbox and I delved into like bigger communities. Xbox communities were intriguing, to say the least. But I'm sure it's a bit like that with every community that you go to for Overwatch, because everyone's like, "Oh, I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you." And in the end, they're both rubbish. So it's a bit like that on Switch. The communities are kind of just like, when you get the game, it's kind of what you sign up for.
Yes, yeah.
And you just gotta get used to it.
All right. Now, since you said you've played on PS and Xbox, have you played on those two consoles like competitively, like on a team at all?
Yep, I played in tournaments for money on Xbox.
So now, since you've played competitive on your time on both those consoles and the Nintendo Switch, which environment do you prefer more, and why?
I think for chilling out and just like vibing, I probably Switch. On Xbox, I was in like 4K lobbies pretty much like every other night for scrims where we're like organized teams. Whereas on Switch, I can hop into a scrim and it varies from players to GMs.
All right, now final question. Why are you staying in this community, if you even are staying, and are you thinking of leaving the Switch?
I've thought about it. My issue is I've met some really cool people from playing Overwatch on Switch. I'm probably not going to leave the community, not for a while at least.
Okay, sounds good.
So.
Thank you, Blue.
No worries, man.
Now, next on the interview list, and the final one, is another one of my friends, but she's a content creator for this platform. Her name is Neko, and she's a VTuber who started in a similar fashion like I did, because she built her community around people from Switch Overwatch. I value her opinion because content creators are a really big driving force into keeping the community alive, as well as publicly representing them. So, let's get into it. Question number 1. How long have you been playing Overwatch in general?
I've been playing Overwatch since May of 2017 on the PlayStation.
All right, question number 2. Now, how long have you been a content creator for either Overwatch or Overwatch on Switch specifically?
I did have a TikTok where I would post some clips and whatnot every once in a while last year, but for the Switch specific content, I started in January of this year.
Alright, question number 3. Now that you have experience, would you rather be a content creator for Overwatch on another platform, or would you still stick to Switch? And how does that answer change when talking about crossplay?
Personally, I am not interested in the Switch portion of Overwatch anymore. I like creating content for the PC version because there's more players on PC and I can get more, reactions and content out of them. Especially with crossplay, I just feel like there's no reason to play on Switch anymore unless it's your only option.
Alright. Question number 4. I know you've been in a lot of communities, PlayStation, PC, and Switch, but which one do you prefer the most?
I prefer the Switch community because everybody is a bit nicer than, PC and PlayStation from what I've experienced. It's a nice, small, little tight-knit community, I feel like. There is some, toxic, stupid people, but it's whatever. For the most part, Switch community is quite nice.
Alright, last but not least, question number 5. As someone who makes content out of this game and platform, why do it here and not some other platform? And by this platform, I'm talking about the Switch.
Right, so, I initially wanted to be a Switch content creator since the community is so small and niche, but I feel like I'm trying to cater to a market that's so small that I need to expand my horizons and look for other possibilities, I guess. I don't really know what to say there.
All right, thank you. All right, guys, don't forget to follow Neko on YouTube and Twitch. Her links are going to be in the description below. Thank you very much for the interview, Neko. Now, Blue Otter didn't want me to put any socials. That's fine to them. Thank you to both of my beautiful interviewees. Now let's talk about what they said. You may have noticed that my questions were catered towards the idea of, all right, crossplay is active. Now what? And their answers varied slightly based on their preferences, but we can see some similar thought processes on why they chose to play on the Switch. And it's because of the community. However, with crossplay in action, Overwatch on Switch will probably fade out. And no, it's not going to die. It's just going to dissolve in the Overwatch umbrella. I don't believe, I mean, they can prove me wrong in the future, but I don't believe that Overwatch Switch will have its own specific community, because there's going to be so many players playing with Switch players that you can't really call it a community. It's more just people playing Overwatch now. But speaking of community, that's where we go on to our next segment. Last but not least, you guys heard some hints throughout the video, but let's talk about the best thing Overwatch Switch has to offer. And that is its small, amazing, wonderful, and welcoming community. I talked about these two servers before, and I don't want to leave their impressions off on a sour note, but the NML League are genuinely a really good Discord server. I'm still in it and have a fun time because of the people that are in there. That's certainly how I met one of my friends and podcast buddy, BK Allen. The Switch community is so small that you can queue up into quick play or comp, and 70% of the time, you'll probably meet someone on your team or the enemy team that you know. Just ignore the top 500 Smurf leaderboards, please. In the description below, I'll also link down a subreddit called r/Overwatch Switch, where you can talk in the community, post some of your funny clips, and people will just have a fun time. But let's talk about how this community started and how it's going now. The game actually launched pretty well on the platform. It got 36 million copies a month later. What? And what helped this community pretty much grow is a video Snipsy uploaded onto YouTube where he showed off the Switch experience. And well, that just showed that Overwatch on Switch is meant to be a casual experience. Meant to be. You hear me? You quick play gatekeeping warrior. Anyways, a week before this video came out, as in this documentary, crossplay has been enabled. And well, I was actually a little bit scared for this community. It was either one or two things. One, it would completely disintegrate everything that this community has to offer, or two, help it thrive. And it's thriving, baby! Fast forward a week later, and people who've quit the Overwatch Switch community have now joined back. Xbox, PS4, PC, and they can play with their Switch friends without the technical limitations. The Overwatch Switch community will never die, and it won't die with this crossplay update. Instead, it'll just dissolve into the overall Overwatch umbrella. And although I will miss queuing up into quick play and then finding someone I know on the enemy team and DMing them on Discord, the heart and soul is still there. Wait, why are we winning? Switch. Wait, who's going in? Let me test my. I'm resing Cleo.
Just
They looked at me as if the bomb. What a greedy ass look. My god, there's no way they see 9, bro. They're actually so stupid. Oh. Uh-oh.
I hate this game sometimes. I'd go in.
Ryan diff.
Yo, you actually rhymed it.
And for all of you that stuck through the end of this video / documentary, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for sticking through the end. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to say this documentary didn't really turn out the way I really wanted it to be, but nonetheless, it still happened. And well, I'm still happy with it. And well, thank you for watching. I hope you're happy with it. I hope I didn't disappoint a lot of you guys. Oh, and by the way, for those of you guys who are wondering, I also have no idea what the title of this documentary means. I thought that No Rise All Falls sounded pretty cool, because I thought I was gonna talk about like the Overwatch community dying or Overwatch Switch community dying, but it really didn't. And well, I'm just gonna self-plug myself. Yeah, Tuesday to Friday, I stream at 2 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/SlackArti, and Monday, I do a podcast at 10 p.m. EST with Alan. And weekends, I do commentary. Well, as per usual, have a damn good one, and don't forget, take it easy.